This is the Sunday stream opening song because the other song is copyrighted. La 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 la. Oh look, here comes Dog Cat Fox.
Hi, Sky.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday stream. The stream I do on Sundays because Sunday is the day to stream on Sundays. Hope you're all doing well this beautiful Sunday morning. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yay! A little bit too hot, but you know, them's the breaks for summer. Hope you're all doing well. Before I get into today's subject, who's joining me on this beautiful Sunday morning? Old Guy Gamer, Seftus Wolf, Noah Asensio, Maddie's Rants. Who else is here? Advocatus Diaboli, Miranda Stone, Keeverdam, Spoonie the Rebel, TF Theorix, or TFAO Schwartz prescription, something like that, I guess, maybe, kind of, sort of. Mike R. Stolka, Extolka. Let's see, who else is here? Oh boy, chat's jumping around. Shadowclaw, and a tall person, Dagger3K, and oh my gosh, Derek LaRue, as always, thank you so much, as always, for your generosity and support. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good Sunday so far, and I hope this, whatever this is we're about to watch, is entertaining or informative or maybe mind-numbing. I hear. We'll find out together, I suppose. Thank you again. Simon Willikins, good morning. You're Ridiculous Lunatic. Green Badger Outdoors. Dina B. Robert Pincus. And I think that's everybody. If I missed you, if you're lurking, if you're in the future, good morning to you. Yes, so today, there was a speech given, I guess a couple of weeks ago, but it only suddenly bubbled up into the social media consciousness in the last couple of days. A keynote speech from the president of the National Education Association, one of the largest labor unions in the country, specifically were educators. And this keynote speech is apparently something else. Now, I have heard but the tiniest bit of it. I listened to like the first 5 or 10 seconds of a clip somebody posted onto Twitter the other day. I made a comment about what I heard at that time on a tweet, but I have not listened to the entirety of the speech. And in fact, I know only that sort of 10-second clip that I saw. So this is all new to me, but apparently it is a humdinger of a keynote speech. Now, the whole thing goes on for just under half an hour. I'll be going for 90 minutes in real time. Hopefully we'll cover the whole thing. I will have to pause occasionally as we proceed because YouTube. But otherwise, I thought since I've done a thing on education earlier this week, how about some more education from the president of the association in charge of taking care of educators, right? Holy cats, Stoka, Brett Ide, I apologize for being asleep last Sunday. These midnight shifts suck. I am here this time. Stoka? I want to say Stoka. I don't know. It sounds like I'm saying something in Russian or something. Stoka? You don't have to apologize for anything. And thank you so much for your generosity as always. I really appreciate it. Sorry about the midnight shifts. Boy, oh boy. I hope you're getting some kind of sleep as a result. But man, that is extremely generous. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hope whatever we're about to hear and whatever I have to provide will meet with your generosity. Thank you. Speaking of generosity, by the way, at the top of the chat box, there is a link there to a GoFundMe for a friend of a friend, Twisted Skipster's friend. Needs a little help with bills because it's one of those things where life just came crashing in, and any couple of bucks you can spare certainly helps a lot. Please check out that GoFundMe. If you can't but donate, that's perfectly fine. But if you can share that out on social media, that would be appreciated. Script Doctor is here. Hey, Script Doctor. Good morning to you in the Great White North. Hope you're doing well. And let's see, did I miss anybody else in the last second here? Some Namyol Nation, Pincalo, the Driving Ape Man, another friend from the Great White North, husband of Blind Press. And I think that's everybody. Again, if I missed you, I apologize, but let's get into it. So this comes from the National Education Association keynote speech by its president. I just remember that her last name is Pringle. Once you pop, you can't stop. So anyway, let's begin. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Let me know in the chat if you can't, because then we'll have a big problem. And let's see what we have to hear.
Delegates,
Delegates. Oh, and there's subtitles too. Okay, good.
please prepare to welcome our NEA president, Becky Pringle.
Oh my gosh, it's like a rock star, Becky Pringle. Are you guys excited? I know I'm excited. You guys hear that okay? Hearing sounds fine to some ammunition. Hearing see it, Advocatus Diaboli. Also, Johnny Blaze, good morning. Resolute Germ, good morning. And Sabian 187, good morning. All right. Oh, man. Woo-hoo! Oh my gosh, everybody's so excited, and they've all got their lanyards and their little fuzzy lays around their neck. And where did this take place? I don't even know. Woohoo! Woo! Yeah, go Becky! Go Becky! Okay, yeah, anyway. Woo! Woo! Yay! Oh man, bask in it. Oh my gosh, look at that sea of tie-dye. Oh my gosh, boy, there's a lot of flair going on at the NEA. Wow, look at all those people. Oh yeah. Steady yourself. Oh man.
We
Yes.
who believe in freedom
Oh man. Yeah.
cannot rest.
Ooh. You guys hear that? We who believe in freedom cannot rest. Yes, we must all keep a watchful eye. That was an applause line? Okay.
We who believe in freedom cannot
Yeah.
rest.
I heard you the first time.
Born in 1903.
Well, you look great for your age.
In Virginia. Ella Baker grew up in North Carolina,
Oh, Ella Baker.
hearing stories from her grandmother, Josephine Ross.
Should I know who Ella Baker is? Or maybe that's an NEA thing. I don't know.
About what it was like to be enslaved.
Okay, so we go straight to slavery. I feel like I'm watching a long-winded TEDx talk. How about you?
Armed with her grandmother's stories of bravery and courage and resistance, Ella used her life to fight for racial and social justice, rising through the ranks of the NAACP and helping Dr. King create the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
Okay, well, history I didn't know, a name I didn't recognize, Ella Baker. Okay.
In 1960, when college students from North Carolina A&T,
woo,
when they were denied service at a Greensboro Woolworths lunch counter, Ella seized an opportunity to create space for, train, and center young activists.
Okay, and you don't happen to see that as your mission now, do you? Somnambulation gives us a pop-up video piece of information. Ella Baker would later marry Alan Funt. Alan Funt, you're on candid camera. Right? Wasn't that? Oh, too many initialisms. I double-clicked there. Thank you, Advocatus Diaboli. Okay. Train activists during the civil rights movement, you say?
Leading to the founding of SNCC.
SNCC.
The Student Non-Violating Coordinating Committee. A group of college students, including a young John Lewis.
Okay, now John Lewis is a name I recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah, name dropping.
Who, as you know,
Somnambulation. Did you just pull one on me? Did you just pull one on me? Are you being honest? That makes her elephant. I didn't think about that. Is that true? Did you just... I mean, is it an accurate thing that you told me, or did you just try to, like, make a funny out of the name? Okay, you pulled one. Okay. See, this is the danger of misinformation, everybody. Somnambulation has just contributed to the atmosphere, the culture of disinformation. I am the offend.
protested segregation throughout the South.
Yes.
My cousin, Roberta,
Is this just name-dropping theater here?
was one of those youth activists too.
Okay.
She, like John and Ella, believed that the fight for freedom can never stop.
What does this have to do with the National Education Association? I'm waiting for that connection.
Roberta also taught me that when you grow weary or overwhelmed by the responsibility to fight for justice, Becky Sue, she would say,
yeah,
always remember,
yes,
our ancestors surround us like cushions.
Are you fat shaming the ghosts? Like, okay, all right. If this was a speech given at, say, like, I don't know, the National Bar Association or something, it might make a little bit of sense, at least in theme. Where are we going as relates to the National Education Association?
Ones we can lean back on. When we need to call on that power.
That power. The power of the ancestors. To do what?
NEA, we gather today almost 7,000 educators strong. The highest governing body of the National Education Association.
Does every vowel have to be sounded out in long form in order to get across the most energetic, meaningful message? I sound like Captain Kirk.
The largest Democratic deliberative delegation in the world.
Wow. Well, there's quantity, but tell me about the quality.
Holding the legacy of leaders who came before us, building on what they've done, we, the NEA, are taking up the mantle to fight for freedom every day, all day.
I know it depends on your definition and so on and so forth, but that feels like a message that should be more appropriate to, say, a military organization or, again, a legal organization of some kind, maybe a constitutional. I don't know. But, okay, draw the line, point A to point B. What does this have to do with the NEA, the National Education Association? If you're talking about, like, educational freedom or freedom of thought or something like that. Oh, okay. I mean, you could get there. We're not there yet.
And although we can fall back on that cushion if we must.
Stop fat shaming the ghosts.
Our collective fight for freedom and for democracy and for education, that NEA must be unrelenting.
Good gravy. Okay, finally we have some mention of education. All right. What freedom are you being disallowed from enjoying in the NEA right now? I mean, I'm happy to be told there is an answer to that question, but I don't know what it is. Thank you, Kiever Dam. Maybe this should be put on 1.25 speed. I don't think I have that option, unfortunately. I don't think so. But yeah, no, she's really taking her time with her long words of meaning. Yay.
With 3 million members strong, in households all across this nation, it is our duty to lead in the magnificent and complex constellation that is public education.
Man, I'm getting some old time religion feelings from this this cadence. I don't know about you.
In the coming days, we will learn as we lean into what's possible.
Okay.
We will deliberate as we make the decisions that will guide our work ahead. We will leave this space.
So wait. You're going to think about what you're going to do before you make a decision. Is that what I just heard? You know, as we make decisions, we will deliberate. Well, isn't making a decision deliberation in and of itself? I mean, I know. I'm just using context clues here and breaking down sentences and doing a whole spelling bee kind of thing. But I have to apply my public education somehow.
Inspired by new ideas and insights, diverse experiences, and newfound expertise.
Newfound expertise. Like, I know this isn't a speech that I'm going to have. This is not a like an educational essay or something, right? I'm not going to be given all the facts and figures and things. I would hope there'd be something in there, but curiosity abounds.
NEA.
NEA.
Our struggle for freedom.
From what? From what? I mean, I know this much about the NEA, and just imagine that my thumb and forefinger are very, very shortly apart from one another. I know this much about the NEA and its struggles, whatever they are, but freedom from what? How is the NEA being oppressed? Maybe there's an answer. I don't know what it is. I hope she tells us, or at least tells the people in the room.
We'll never rest.
Yeah, I know.
We have come here to Florida. Our nation's ground zero for shameful, racist, homophobic, misogynistic, xenophobic rhetoric and dangerous actions.
Oh, is that what's going on in Florida? Okay, I mean, if you say so. Why would, here's the thing. Why would you come to a state? Why would you have your convention in a state that is doing such terrible things to people and boost their economy with the hotel, the food, the recreation, and everything else that all of those people in that audience obviously need during the course of this convention? Seems a bit counterintuitive to me, but what do I know?
We have come here because our children are here.
Your children are in Florida?
We have come here because our colleagues are here.
I'm sure there are teachers in Florida, sure.
We have come to Florida because educators and students and their communities are being attacked by laws that threaten their safety and question their humanity.
Really? Laws that threaten their safety and question their humanity? Well, because you see, over the course of time now, between myself being online on a stream with Ranting Monkey, looking at several other articles about the subjects, the laws going on in Florida, indeed, some of the language in some of those laws is a bit too ambiguous for my liking, and they'll likely be challenged in court, but threaten their safety. In what way? Threaten their humanity or sense thereof. In what way? I know we're not going to be told. I know she's not going to try to explain it to anybody here because everybody here is a true believer, I assume. Still, since we're at the National education association. I always hold out hope.
That block their access to every basic right that defines the word freedom.
What are you? Every basic right? Every basic right. So there are laws in Florida that block access to every basic right. Citation?
We stand ready to lift up and protect our colleagues and their students.
How? How are you going to protect them? And what are you protecting them from again?
And right here, right here in Florida,
yes,
we will preserve and strengthen a democracy that was steeped in the power of the Constitution of the United States of America. It is we, the people, NEA, we the people, we the people.
Okay. Calm down. What in the world are you talking about? I mean, I could make some guesses as to what you're referring to abstractly, but I don't know. I don't know for a fact. But let's take a moment. Let's take a moment. If not only just for YouTube's sake, but also for my own. Okay.
All of us deserve the right to be truly free.
Of what? What? You are in a convention hall in Florida, which you describe as basically the ground zero of the worst possible place in the country for democracy, freedom, and elsewise. No one's stopping you. Everybody there, whether it's a restaurant, a hotel, the convention hall itself, vendors and so on, they all took your money. They didn't say you couldn't gather there. What freedom is being denied you? That's my only question right now, at least in the high level. What freedom or freedoms are supposedly being denied this collective of people in this hall? Or the NEA in general?
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Right here, we will get that done.
Really? How? Specifically what? Look. Okay, I don't know, just for some reason, and maybe it's just my pause game or something, but the look on this man's face looks so sad. He looks so sad. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Is it me or is she speaking as if she was expecting a better response from the crowd? I mean, there might not be the same kind of acoustics or mics set up around the crowd. I mean, maybe the response is very energetic. We're just not hearing it from our side. Hard to say. There's a lot of people in that hall, and there's a lot of people all wearing the same thing. So I'm assuming most of them are on board with this and are very enthusiastic. But yeah, and also, as big as the crowd is, we're not talking like a stadium or something, at least as far as I can tell. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that it's more a lack of microphones in and around the crowd. That's not giving us a good take on how the reaction is. But I assume that everybody there is really on board. I'll at least give it that. They all came to the party.
In this moment, in this state where the LGBTQ plus community, especially those who are transgender, face relentless attacks, we will fight for the right of every student.
I don't want to get too deep into current events when it comes down to certain medical procedures and things and so on as applied to underage individuals. But whenever I hear an adult talking about students in relation to that, I really have to wonder, what is it you're advocating for?
And every educator to stand completely in their authenticity of who they know themselves to be.
Authenticity. Okay. What if I was a teacher and just wanted to teach, academics and not get involved in my students' lives, or believe that somehow my students are my children or something. There's a point, and I know this is an aside completely, and it deals with a previous stream, but there's something that I thought about after the TEDx this previous Thursday, where the lady was talking about trauma-informed care of her students. And this is starting to eke into, this idea I had is starting to eke into this just a little bit, so please forgive me a moment. From that last TEDx, just as a summary, the speaker was talking about the importance of trauma-informed care in the classroom. Trauma-informed care being defined, at least by that speaker, more or less, that you have to assume ahead of time as your students enter your classroom that they are the victims of trauma of one form or another, more likely than not. And that kind of trauma can be anywhere from my parents got divorced to something much more serious, depending on how you look at it. She didn't get too specific. I can't either, but either way, I started thinking, if I believe as a teacher that the students entering the classroom are inherently traumatized, who would I hold responsible for that trauma, and or that trauma not being addressed to the point where I need to take action on their behalf? It's not a really tough piece of mathematics there. So it made me think, is the whole trauma-informed care thing just a mechanism to put more distance between teachers and parents? To see parents inherently as an adversary of a kind? That you've brought me a whole bunch of children that you've not done a good job in taking care of, that I have to assume you've done a poor job at, so now it's my place to fix the problem. I won't go too much further on that. I'd just be repeating myself, but that's something I thought about after the fact that I wish I'd brought up during that broadcast. This sense that teachers are being encouraged, either from outside forces or from within themselves, to believe that their students are their charges, if that makes any sense. Anyway, moving on.
In this moment, when voting rights hang in the balance, when reproductive rights are at risk.
You don't have any reproductive rights that the states don't. I don't know if you listened to the case or read the decision or looked at the history of it. There was never a right. There was never a law. I won't go into a discussion about my personal beliefs on the whole subject, but just looking at it as pragmatically as possible from a legal standpoint, it was never. Here's the thing. And Joe Biden has said this several times on Twitter. We need to codify Roe. And I'm like, go ahead. Go ahead. Get the House, get the Senate, get the executive all to line up in the same place and do it. If you're going to do it, do it. You had your chances several times now. You keep not doing it. But anyway, I could go on.
We are required to fight for fair and free elections and a woman's right to make decisions about her own body.
How are you doing this through the National Education Association? Shouldn't you be giving this speech at like a voters' rights organization or a reproductive rights organization or something? Okay.
NEA, in this moment.
This moment, unlike the previous, okay.
With the residue of the pandemic.
The residue, ew.
Still lingering.
Yeah, whose fault is that?
With our psyches still fragile.
Speak for yourself.
We must make sense
of
all that we have lost and all that we have learned.
I guess I kind of do that every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I try to make sense of the sanity I've lost and try to take something from what I'm learning. Yeah.
In this moment.
Oh, not this moment. Not the one. Okay, this new moment. Okay.
When your professional responsibility and your academic freedom to teach the truth of this nation's history and its impact to this day,
critical race theory,
can actually cost you your license or your job or your life.
Your life? Okay. Again, I can imagine some nut job parent out there doing something nut jobby, thinking that their kid's teacher was doing or saying something they didn't like. I mean, I can imagine that. But when is it part of law or society that you're going to lose your life over teaching CRT? That's what she's alluding to. Critical race theory.
I will always remember.
Okay.
The tearful yet defiant Florida educator who expressed the concerns of far too many.
Does this educator have a name?
Telling me.
No name?
I can't teach like this.
Then maybe you should find a different profession.
I refuse to.
Okay, well, there's the door.
NEA in this moment.
This moment, not the okay.
When an extremist, out of touch Supreme Court slammed shut the doors
on racial discrimination
of affirmative action.
6 of one thing, half a dozen of the other.
Refuse to acknowledge the way student loan debt puts higher education out of reach for so many students.
Do not buy what you cannot afford. Do not agree to a loan that you may not be able to pay back. You know, and here's the thing. Agreeing to a loan is always a roll of the dice. There are no guarantees. Lightning could strike. You could slip and fall. Something else could happen. Things might not go your way. It's always a roll of the dice. But certainly, once you've agreed to take on that debt, you have agreed to take on that debt. And the one part that just told me everything I needed to know about the whole idea before the Supreme Court decision, there's it's either a piece of video or an audio recording, I forget what it was, where someone went up to Elizabeth Warren during the course of the previous presidential campaign and asked her point blank if she succeeded in becoming president or whatever and was able to get this student loan debt canceled or whatever, would the people who have been paying off their student loans get some kind of reimbursement? And she just said no. And that's not a quote, but in no uncertain terms, she said that would not happen. And I'm like, why not? They followed the rules. They lived up to their obligations. They get no reward as a result of this plan of yours. Yeah, so I might be an old man or something, but I think the Supreme Court made the correct decision. Even if the decision that they made was more based in law than anything else, but certainly, there's something I don't particularly like about using the pandemic as an excuse to try to push a campaign promise that was made before the pandemic. That part I didn't really like that much.
and keeps millions of Americans from experiencing financial freedom in their lifetimes.
They had the financial freedom to enter into that loan agreement. No one was forcing them to do that. They did that of their own volition. And if they did not do that of their own volition, then they have a case. Entering into a loan agreement is an exercise of financial freedom. Taking on a burden willingly is your choice.
During a 24-hour period, this radical court struck yet another blow.
Oh, yeah?
Against our LGBTQ plus community.
By saying that a state cannot mandate speech?
With a decision.
Yeah.
For the first time ever.
Uh-huh.
That actually licenses discrimination under the First Amendment.
No. It said a state cannot mandate the speech of its citizens. This is the thing that keeps getting rehashed and resaid, and it's 100% wrong. The case before the court was you had a state mandate as to what could or could not be said or broadcast by its citizens, and someone who just happened to not want to have to send out a message that went against their religious beliefs, that just happened to deal with sexual orientation, was the case that went before the court. It could have been anything, and the facts of the case would have remained the same, but they have latched on to the window dressing of the case rather than the case law at question. This is the National Education Association, correct? You talk about the true history of this country, and yet you are framing recent history in a completely wrong way. Okay.
Against a protected class.
A protected class? You mean the citizens of the state versus the state? No, of course you don't.
NEA.
Mm-hmm.
It is in this moment.
This moment? Not the other. Okay.
That we cannot rest. We cannot rest, NEA.
What are you going to do? I mean, seriously, and I mean this with all sincerity. What is the NEA going to do? What can the NEA do to oppose the Supreme Court's decisions? You've gone through the three big ones. You've gone through affirmative action, student loan debt, and I'm going to be accurate and say state power versus freedom of speech. What is the NEA going to do to oppose, change, or alter those things? I mean, in this moment, at least. Over time, a lot of things can happen, but like right now.
Because as educators, we know that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson told the truth.
Did she? When? About what? Did you see her tirade against Clarence Thomas over the affirmative action decision? Did you read her logic on her dissent? Did you read Thomas's response to her dissent? Did you listen to Justice Jackson during the oral arguments? I really do encourage anybody who's curious, not just about the case in specific, but just sort of Supreme Court procedure in general. Really do go back, and it's like 6 hours or something. It's some ridiculous amount of time, but if only in spurts and such. Really do listen to the oral arguments that took place in October of 2022 regarding the affirmative action case. It is very enlightening, not only to the foundations of the case for affirmative action and against it, but also how each of the individual current justices approach a subject that on its face, again, and I might be biased from my years of looking at this stuff, at least extemporaneously, just is such a simple question of law and fairness in my mind. You have the Civil Rights Act, Title VI in this case, but also just the whole idea of assessing people on the basis of their race as a value point. And just listen to each justice as they go through it and question the lawyers and back and forth. It is so interesting. It was so interesting to me and very enlightening. And so I really encourage everybody to go listen. And as she's bringing her up, specifically listen to Justice Jackson in the course of those oral arguments. I won't give you my thoughts on it. I'll leave it to you if you decide to listen to it, but it is interesting.
She told the truth when she wrote her dissenting opinion. Every moment these gaps persist is a moment where this great country falls short of actualizing one of its foundational principles.
Gaps. Do you mean disparities? I know. It's something that I've said far too many times, and I will continue to say it. Does a disparity inherently indicate an inequity? Or are you talking about something else? What is the fundamental principle?
The self-evident truth.
Yes.
That all of us.
Yes.
Are created equal.
Unless you happen to be of the wrong skin color in colleges or institutions, and then you have a point in your favor or disfavor when it comes to admissions decisions. Oh, wait, sorry. No, I did I get that backwards? I must have gotten that backwards, right? Because that's a good thing. Affirmative action is a good thing towards that principle, that foundational principle you just stated. Okay.
Justice Sonia Sotomayor,
who was just found out to have had a whole bunch of books of hers bought as a payoff. I mean, you want to bring up her too? They ran after Clarence Thomas for quite a while now on questionable ethics violations or possible thereof. You want to talk about Sonia Sotomayor's book deals and publications and things?
Told the truth when she wrote, despite the court's unjustified exercise of power, the opinion today...
Whoa. Unjustified exercise of power. Which case are we talking about? I mean, you brought up 3 different cases. Which one was unjustified? And how... I haven't read her dissent on whichever case we're talking about, so how was it unjustified? What do you mean?
Will serve only to highlight the court's own impotence.
What? Okay, you're the president of the National Education Association, right? Could you at least give us some context for what you're talking about? Because you brought up 3 different cases: affirmative action, student loan debt, and state versus First Amendment. Which dissent in which case did Sonia Sotomayor say the court's actions were unjustified? Are we still on affirmative action? Or am I missing? I'm probably missing something. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the happy, smiley, dancy Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowee, wow.
Oh, that's a irate Alex Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday. Okay. Let's go back. Wait a sec. Let's go back.
Court's unjustified exercise of power. The opinion today will serve only to highlight the court's own impotence.
The court's own impotence. Well, for an impotent court, it sure made some pretty major rulings that people have to abide by now. This all sounds like sour grapes to me. I don't know about you, but...
The court's impotence in the face of an America whose cries for equality resound. Both ended their blistering rebukes with these defiant words.
Oh boy, guys, are you ready? Are you ready for these defiant words? Here we go. All right, let's go.
I dissent.
Well, no, I'll give you this. By definition, those are defiant words. I will give you that. Now, I'm not a Supreme Court historian or anything, but I'd be very curious to know, do most dissenting opinions on Supreme Court rulings end with the words, I dissent, from individual justices? Is that some great, powerful stand, or is that just common practice?
NEA.
NEA.
We all dissent.
What is this? I know I might be a little late to the party on this. This has been around a little while and it's been off on social media for a few days. But again, this is the first time I'm watching it in full. What is the point of this? This is, and I know this is a total hot take compared to what other people have already said, but seriously, this is a political rally. What does this have to do with a labor organization? What does this have to do with education? I understand that labor unions are political organizations, whether they would otherwise not want to be considered such, but all the same, what are we doing here? What is this supposed to do? Okay, are we going to get to the point where she's going to start listing off, here are our priorities for the coming year, or here's the initiatives that I encourage you to take part in, or this is what the NEA is going to do to try to address these things? When do we get to the informational part of this rally?
We all dissent.
Yeah, I heard you the first time.
We all dissent.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Keep going. You want to do it for a fourth time, or is three enough? Please, somebody say that's right. Somebody shout out that's right in the background. Please. Oh, they got little clappers. Look, you got little clappers. Oh, I used to have one of those. Oh my gosh. Is it different teams or something? Like you got, I don't know. I assume they all represent different regions or different local chapters or something. Got everybody in yellow shirts. You got everybody in tie-dye shirts on the other side.
So this is that moment.
Uh-huh.
That requires us to remind the nation.
Yeah.
That compounded inequities continue to affect far too many of our students and educators, far too many of our families and communities.
Wait. Compounded inequities, is that intersectional theory I hear? Maybe just a little bit?
Because inequity is based into every single social system.
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't be equating, for lack of a better word, or I should say probably conflating the idea of inequity with disparity. Would you? I have to wonder. But yes, it's baked into every system. This is starting to sound like anti-racist rhetoric.
In this country.
Yeah, of course. Uh-huh.
We must call.
Well, what about the NEA? I mean, every system, right? So how are you guys cleaning house? Right? Oh, sorry. Make sure I got to make that official. Pardon me.
Right?
There we go. Got to do that at least once.
Right?
Okay.
Social system in this country. We must call out every politician and every pundit who refuses to address gun violence.
Okay, where is this the Swiss Army knife of political rallies? Just like every possible talking point or hot button issue? What is the National Education Association going to do about gun rights? I'm asking this sincerely, like, take away all the politics, whether it's for or against or otherwise. What is the NEA going to do? What can the NEA do to affect gun rights legislation? I'm being honest when I ask that question because I have no idea. Maybe I'm just not politically savvy enough. Maybe it's the poverty of my imagination. I don't know. I mean, is it because that you guys have, similar letter schemes, like it's the NRA and the NEA? Is people get confused or something?
Who seek to erase the beautiful stories.
What?
Of indigenous people.
Whoa! Wait. Boy, you're moving faster than the Flash on this. Okay, so we've gone from Supreme Court decisions to gun rights to indigenous people, lickety-split, okay?
Of our Latino and API communities who refuse to acknowledge the right of our trans students to live their true identities.
Again, I'm going to forcefully avoid going on a tirade regarding underage students and transgender true identities procedures. Because I can only assume, without her giving us any other context, that that's what she's referring to. Attempts at legislation, policies, statutes, or otherwise that would hinder surgery. In the absence of anything else, I have to assume that's what she's talking about, which means she's arguing for it.
We must raise our voices right now.
Oh, you certainly are in this moment.
And say no.
To what?
No! No!
Okay, I need to clip this and make it a meme like that one thing from The Office, where he's going like, no, no, no! That kind of thing, or Darth Vader. Yeah.
You will not arm teachers!
You will not arm teachers. Okay.
No! You will not shrink our students' curriculums!
Shrink our students' curriculums? Well, let me ask you something. What is the content of said curriculums? Because if teachers are adding things in there that are either ideologically based or have absolutely nothing to do with academics, some curriculums might need some shrinking.
No! You will not leave them unprepared to lead a just society!
What does that even mean? I feel like this is still an argument for critical race theory.
No! In this unthinkable moment.
Oh, this moment, not the other. Okay.
Make no mistake.
Uh-huh.
These are not culture wars raging across this country.
Are you sure about that?
These are wars on our freedoms.
Which ones? Tell me true. Which ones? You want to list a couple? Thank you again, Ms. Tickle Trunk. I think her talking points upload has errors. She's got them all there. These are the best kind of talking points where you just belt out buzzwords, buzz phrases, allude to certain things, but give no details or other information that might contextualize what you're talking about. We've all learned this from TEDx Talks. But yeah, no, she's oh man, she's feeling it. She's feeling it. If nothing else, I really do appreciate the energy and the sincerity of passion that I'm getting from this speech. I'll at least extend that much credit.
On our freedoms.
What freedoms?
At their very core, these wars are an assault on our rights as humans.
What rights?
On our right to have and participate in a civil society, on our right to learn and to live and to be.
Where? In what way? And again, I know it's difficult for me to sort of separate my cynicism and sarcasm from when I'm being sincere, but that's why I give these disclaimers. I am sincerely asking because I don't know. I can believe in this country at this time, in this moment, that our freedoms, our rights are being infringed upon in some ways, both major and or subtle, depending on the legislation or what's going on. I mean, I did live through the pandemic. I do know that it's possible to have your rights and freedoms infringed upon by the state unjustly and likely unconstitutionally. But all the same, I can believe it. I would like some specifics from the president of the National Education Association as to what she's talking about. Because on the one hand, she's for affirmative action, but on the other hand, she's against discrimination. Anyway, thank you, England DG. Assault on our freedoms. Man, this Braveheart reboot sucks. Oh, man. When I think of Braveheart, I think of my friend, Tailed Feature, who's a Scot through and through, unlike Mel Gibson and unlike the depiction of William Wallace in that film. But it's still a really popular film, even in Scotland.
But what I know to be true,
yes,
is that in places all over this country,
yes,
NEA,
yes,
you
are
fearlessly demanding your rights as citizens of this nation, of this world.
What rights are being denied or infringed upon, at least as far as is concerned, the members of the National Education Association? What? That parents are asking questions about the content of the curriculums being pushed upon their children? That parents want to be involved and informed on what's being taught to their children? That teaching critical race theory is something that people aren't that jazzed about once they learn what it is and what it purports to teach? Things like that? Because I don't know what you mean. Okay? I don't know what you mean.
You are courageously embracing your responsibility as education professionals.
Are they, though? Are they, though? Because it sure seems like what's being pushed more and more is not so much about being educational professionals, but being ideological zealots.
Standing up for education, democracy, and freedom.
Uh-huh.
With pride and persistence. Uh-huh. You embrace the magnitude of what you've been called to do.
Which is?
Deliberate and unafraid. You will continue to demand that every student is seen and supported, that every educator is respected as the professionals they are.
Unless they're of the wrong ethnicity or skin color, because then there's a disparity if you're the wrong type, or you should have more put in your favor in college admission. I'm sorry, you know, the whole I support affirmative action thing, and then you start talking about everybody being treated equally, really doesn't fly.
Unbowed and unbroken, you will resolve that you will lead the work to protect and promote and strengthen public education.
I don't feel like that's what's being pushed. I don't know. I just don't get the sense that that's the major major concern of strengthening public education. Feels more like public education is being taken and being used as a platform for very specific ideological purposes. I know that might sound conspiratorial, but listening to this speech, it's really hard not to feel that way.
Since becoming your NEA president.
I love that mildly humble-ish smile she has as she says that. Yeah.
I have visited you in your schools, and I've got the chance to meet your brilliant and beautiful students.
Uh-huh.
I've seen for myself all of the ways you are using your role as professionals.
Professional what's again?
And your strength as a union to transform the promise of this nation into the practice of this nation.
Okay, I mean, taken out of context, what little we have, yes. If you're talking about the promise of this nation as in everyone is treated fairly, everyone has the right to speak their minds, so on. Yeah, okay. Problem is that it sure sounds like you're putting all of that through a very, very jilted lens of reality.
In Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota. Oh, yeah. I did a video on a public elementary school in Minnesota that was all very excited to implement racial affinity groups into the school. Yeah, I remember Minnesota. Tell me about Minnesota.
There you are. The hard work of educators led to the control of the Minnesota House and Senate and the governor's office.
Yeah, I can believe that the implications of what you're putting up on this podium will be carried through as much as possible in Minnesota. Given what I've already seen has happened in Minnesota, sure.
Today, our Minnesota colleagues are using that power to hold their leaders accountable, to deliver for Minnesota students and educators and families, to win common good contracts.
Common good contracts. That sounds slightly insidious.
That will make historic improvements for students and for our professions.
How? Is this going to have to be the subject for my next Sunday stream? What's a common good contract? I'll have to find one of those and read it.
Educators in Colorado and New Mexico, they have strengthened their gun laws to help create safe spaces for our students to learn and to live.
Oh, you mean gun-free zones? Those little signs that they put up around schools and places? Is that what you mean? I don't know, but a safe space? Okay.
Massachusetts!
What was that, I suddenly forget his name, that politician from way back in the olden days. And he was giving a speech that pretty much ruined his career, or helped ruin his career. And he's like, we're going to Massachusetts, we're going to Minnesota, we're going to Florida, and then we're going to the White House. Ah, that guy. I suddenly forget his name. He became the president of the, what was it, of the Democratic National Committee or something at one point. Why can't I remember his name all of a sudden? It's such a big thing for a long time. Oh, well. Somebody in the chat. Oh, yeah, Dean. Howard Dean? Yeah, Howard Dean. Oh, man.
Yeah. They won a huge tax fairness victory that will have the
Tax
wealthy
fairness?
paying their fair share.
Great. And so, okay.
In Illinois, IEA members They use their considerable might to keep voucher funding out of the state budgets so they can keep their public schools strong.
I know nothing about the financial situations for education in Illinois, so okay. At least we're getting to some specifics now. I'll give at least this much credit. At least we're getting to some specific examples of whatever the NEA is doing, even if I don't have enough context or information to say whether that's good or bad or productive or not.
Mississippi.
MISSISSIPPI.
There you are. Thousands of educators raised their voices and the state's legislature approved an historic increase of $100 million to fund their schools.
Okay. In the chat real quick, just because somebody knows something I don't. Scanner Daffley, voucher systems allow people to avoid public schools. Yeah, isn't it like I have a voucher, therefore I get to go off to a private school or take my kid to a private school or something? See, I don't have children. I've never had to deal with sending my kids off to a school of one kind or another or anything. So this is all relatively Greek to me. I'm sure I've learned about it in the past, but it has escaped me in the time since. So.
In Vermont, educators want there you are, a permanent universal meals offer for all students. And they are addressing the educator shortage through a coaching and mentoring and training program to help with certification.
Great. Food and education. That sounds like something the NEA would be concerned with. What happened to all the gun rights? And speaking of which, you brought up the gun right. Did the NEA have anything to do with that? I mean, maybe they did. Maybe they lobbied. I don't know. I didn't really catch that part. But the safe spaces and gun laws.
California. Your hard work to get community schools actually funded in your state budget paved the way for huge wins in Los Angeles and Oakland.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like an NEA kind of thing. Lobbying for money for schools. Okay.
Getting community schools actually in their contracts. And Michigan.
Home state of the ranting monkey.
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
All the things.
All the things.
All the things.
All the things. All the things. Okay. Like you want to name some? Just for those of us that aren't in the know.
Proving that elections matter, they won back rights for their union.
If you say so. Wait. Wait, hold on. What she said something just then.
Michigan!
Wait, not
all
that.
The things!
Well,
all the things!
Okay, that was funny, but what did she say again?
Proving that elections matter.
Proving that elections matter. Uh-huh. When your side wins, apparently. I'm just calling back to the assessment of the Supreme Court and a bunch of other yeah, okay.
They won back rights for their union. Yes.
Like what? I don't know. Like what?
And they didn't stop with that. They put a focus on the retired members and roll back state taxes on pension income. Woo!
Okay. I'm not an economist. I don't know.
Go ahead with your bad self.
What? I mean, is one of the requirements to become the president of the NEA to be just an absolute total cheerleader? I mean, I suppose that might be the case. A cheerleader for the, yeah, okay. All right. You know, I answered my own question. That's true.
And of course, I could not be more proud of the aspiring educators in my own home state of Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania? When I was a kid, I thought Pennsylvania was like the cousin of Transylvania. Like that's where vampires in America lived. Because it wasn't in America. I knew it wasn't America, but it was like Pennsylvania. I thought it was like, oh, is that this like Transylvania's cousin? Anyway.
Their hard work convinced a bipartisan group of lawmakers to introduce legislation that creates a stipend for student teachers.
Okay.
And our students, wow.
Our students.
Our students?
Which you haven't really focused much on in the course of this entire thing, so much as the political leanings of the NEA and so on, but okay.
Are organizing and speaking up for themselves.
Why? Well, okay. Speaking up for themselves, great. Organizing what? You say organizing, I start thinking about activism. And when I think activism, I think, oh, you're pushing an ideology.
With the support of the Maryland State Education Association. Students in the Minority Scholars Program are using their own voices.
Students in the Minority Scholars Program? So what's the requirement for admission into that program? What happened to that whole all people are created equal? Never mind.
To demand access to the tools they need for an equitable education.
Right. An equitable education, resources of which are portioned off to them based on what they are. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
In states nationwide, our students are marching to end gun violence.
So you're encouraging political activism for students in protest. Okay.
Our students are returning banned books to their libraries.
Your students are returning banned books to their libraries. So books that have been curated as either inappropriate or otherwise unnecessary. They're just putting them on the shelves. Who's encouraging them to do that? And would you like to read any passages from selections from these books out loud and show any images from said books by any chance?
Our students are calling on the adults in positions of power to make decisions that will center their humanity and invest in their futures.
And who is teaching them to take these actions, and are they making these choices and these decisions and conclusions of their own volition, or are you telling them what is correct and not letting them think for themselves by any chance?
NEA.
Yes.
Let us find inspiration.
Okay.
As we deliberate and discuss the work we will do together.
Okay.
Let us find pride in our successes and lessons in our losses.
Okay.
Let us share our hopes and our dreams and our biggest ideas. Most of all, let us
is a good addition to a hamburger. Oh, sorry.
Give to each other.
Okay.
Gratitude.
Uh-huh.
And respect.
Respect? Okay, if you say so.
And compassion.
Yeah.
For you see, that is what nurtures the hope that will fuel our resistance.
Resistance to what? Resistance to... I'm still waiting to hear how the NEA's rights are being infringed upon, freedoms are being limited, and so on and so forth. She hasn't said anything specific yet. It's mostly about getting money from the state.
NEA.
Yes.
I need you to fully embrace this reality.
Okay. Well, you're getting emotional.
Yeah. Right now.
Right now. This moment? Not the other. Okay.
We are the ancestors of future generations. So we must and we will leave this state and this representative assembly ready to take the kind of bold and tenacious and continuous and fearless action that we must.
You're the ancestors that are going to cushion the... I've made that joke a couple of times now.
We must and we will reach up and realign the stars.
Yes, and then great Cthulhu will rise from his house at Relay. What? What? Okay, you're going to realign the stars. We're not talking about Hollywood, are we?
In a way that will serve our students and support educators and invest in our communities. We must and we will consistently improve our professional rights and strengthen our practices in a way that centers education justice.
Education justice. Okay, I can't say I've heard that one before. Education justice. All right, what, dare I ask, is education justice?
We will set our gaze.
Phrasing.
On the North Star
What?
of our shared vision.
What?
That we will unite not just our members, but this entire nation to reclaim public education as a common good, as the foundation of this country. And then we will transform it into something it was never designed to be.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack in that particular statement. So you want to take... I know, this is... This is straining, but I'm gonna take a step back. I want to listen to that again.
Oh, reach up and realign the stars.
Yeah, I remember that part. Let's skip ahead a little bit.
We must and we will consistently improve our professional rights.
Consistently improve our professional rights. Still not sure what that's supposed to mean.
And strengthen our practices in a way that centers education justice.
Right, education justice.
We will set our gaze on the North Star of our shared vision.
Our shared vision. Okay, we are all in alignment. Not to keep the star thing going too long.
That we will unite not just our members.
Not just our members.
But this entire nation to reclaim public education.
All right, unite the nation to reclaim public education. Okay, how is public education currently not in the hands of the nation? Who has public education captive currently? I know these are all rhetorical questions, but I'm just trying to understand what she's saying. Okay, so she's implying that public education is currently under someone else's control that's not the country's, and I guess not the NEA. Okay.
As a common good, as the foundation of this country.
Right. Public education is a common good and a foundation of this country.
And then we will transform it into something it was never designed to be.
Okay, that's where everything suddenly becomes very, very insidious sounding. What are you going to transform public education into that it was never designed to be? Because if public education is a foundationary public good, and its intent is to educate the children of this country in such a way that they are prepared with the basics to move on into being good citizens and productive members of society, what should we have public education actually do?
A racially and socially just and equitable system that prepares everyone to succeed in a diverse and interdependent world.
Boy, howdy, that's, I'll save a second. Thank you, Mr. Trunk again. So she wants to steal education from parents. Basically. I mean, that's already the intention of most of the activist teachers out there that I've listened to, profiled, looked at, or otherwise. Yeah, that's the thinking. Okay, so racially justice, it's okay. But yet you still promote and advocate for the idea of evaluating someone's worth on the basis of their race through affirmative action. I know. I keep coming back to that one, but it's kind of fundamental to the idea of then saying that you're for everyone to be treated fairly, because you're not. There is an inherent and important contradiction there. But okay, a racially and socially just and equitable system. And by equitable, you mean equality of outcome, because these are two different things from equality of opportunity and equality of outcome. So a racially and socially just and equitable system that prepares every student, everyone to succeed. But it doesn't prepare everyone to succeed. It's designed to moderate everyone's progress so that no one gets ahead of the other and no one falls behind, because then you artificially push them up to where they're not actually suited to. I saw this, I did a video from the National Association of Independent Schools, NAIS, where you had a teacher talking about this very thing. He was talking about equitable grading. I think if you look up on my channel, he just put in the word grade or something, you might find it. The thumbnail has two guys on it sitting there with a gray background. Anyway, he talked about feeling bad for his students because they were just weren't quite getting the scores that he expected from them. And so, and I quote, he became, quote, the point fairy, unquote, and bumped up their scores here and there because he thought they deserved it. Not that they'd actually shown that they have a retention of the skills necessary to achieve that score, but he felt bad for them, and or he was looking to bolster his own stats for his performance review or something. It's hard to say. That's what equitable education looks like on the ground level. So when our speaker, our president of the National Education Association, says she's looking to create an equitable system, that does not promote in me a whole lot of confidence in the actual outcomes of things. Wow, standing ovation, clappity clap clap.
Only
you. Oh, sorry.
In the darkness.
Oh my gosh.
Can you see the stars?
Oh, that's deep.
Dr. King's words describe the reality of our world.
Which words are you talking about?
Through the darkness, I see you, NEA. I see you turning your capacity for resilience into impenetrable resistance. Your collective might and your palpable power.
Palpable power! Oh, the alliteration, I love it.
You alchemize.
Ooh.
To challenge ourselves to change.
Alchemize, I like that. If nothing else, I can at least be proud of the vocabulary being employed here.
You transform obstacles into opportunity. You transform and shape hardship.
You transform and roll out
into hope. As I see you,
yes,
I can hear Chief Seattle crying out to us.
Chief Seattle. Chief Seattle. And I said this in my this is the part that I listen to. This is the one part that I listen to on Twitter. And man, every time I hear it now. So yeah, this is a canned response from my previous tweet after I listened to this one clip. I didn't know it took place this late into the speech. I kept waiting for it to happen. But Chief Seattle, you mean the slave owner? The slave owner, Chief Seattle? Weren't you talking about something at the top of this speech that had to do with that? Okay, you could hear Chief Seattle crying out.
Urging us to
remember his true history. Do you want to talk about the true history of Chief Seattle?
When you know who you are, when your mission is clear, and you burn with the inner fire of an unbreakable will, no cold can touch your heart. No deluge can dampen your purpose. And yea, you are those stars in the darkness. Your light will not be dimmed. Your purpose will drive you.
I gotta pause for YouTube's sake, but holy cats.
In our righteous fight for freedom, because you know who you are.
That's right. That's right. Yes. He did it again. That's right. Yes.
You know who you are.
I'm Batman.
You are the NEA. Our mission is clear. We will advocate for the rights of education professionals.
Man, I need a lozenge just listening to this.
And we will change this world for our students.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure you're doing it for the students. Won't somebody please think of the children?
With that inner fire burning, we will never bend. We will never be broken because we are the NEA. And we will always do what we must to be worthy of our students. Thank you, NEA, for all you do every day for our babies.
Our babies?
And for our colleagues, and for your states, and for this country. Onward, NEA! Onward!
Wowzers. That's all I gotta say. Okay, that's it. We're done. That was the whole shebang. Good gravy. I don't know that I can add anything else to that. I'll take a second here for you guys, and then we will wrap up this amazing presentation. Let's see. Those ain't real, dude. The kiddos would be scared by this lady's craziness. She was enthusiastic. Very, very, very enthusiastic. Mystical Trunk, no, those babies belong to their parents, you harpy. Not true. Giraffe, the ultimate warrior. Yeah. Got to put it in there. The stars above and the moon below or something. I just remember this one clip of the ultimate warrior giving some speech where he's talking about like the stars and the moon and the blood of the earth or something. It was amazing. Amazing. Super Cooper TV, speaking of stars, Scribelet, are you going to talk about the Hollywood strikes at all, or did I miss that stream? I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I did an ambush stream regarding the Academy, the National Academy of Arts and Sciences put out a statement regarding their commitment to their diversity programs. It's on my channel right now. That's as close as I've come to talking about the strikes on a stream. I might do something else on that in the near future. Or, I mean, just as it does happen from time to time, I might end up on a stream with like Pop Culture Minefield or something talking about it. So I have some curiosities and some thoughts about it, but it's more sort of just like sitting back and watching that industry just have to do a big, I don't know, soul searching moment, I guess. I'm morbidly curious to see what comes out of it, because honestly, it's a feeling of like, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. The kind of productions, the quality of the writing, and the quality of the product being put out by Hollywood in large parts these days doesn't feel like anything I'd be paying attention to anyway. And when I do, it's usually disappointing. So if everything suddenly comes to a halt and there's still this endless library of things I've never seen from the past, I don't really feel like there's a big crisis for me. Although I will say, and again, this is just an aside, not dealing with the speech here, I am seeing a lot of tweets from some entertainment publications right now with articles or just little blurbs talking about how actors are complaining that they only got this tiny amount of money in residuals from some show that they did 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so somehow that's an injustice. And my question perpetually to all these examples is, what was in your contract? Did you sign it? Are the people, the streaming services, in breach of that contract? And if so, why aren't you suing them for that extra money? Because presumably you were paid for your performance in each individual episode. And residuals, I mean, they're a nice bonus, but what are they supposed to do? If you did a show 10 years ago that nobody's watching anymore, how is it that you're supposed to be making some kind of, substantial amount of money continually from doing a show a decade ago or something? I don't know. This is the thing I keep warning, but they keep putting up these examples of like, I only got $27 in residuals from a show I did 8-9 years ago. Like, well, that's $27 more than you had before for not doing anything today. So, I mean, you can go buy a couple of Starbucks or something. I don't know. Anyway, SWD40, a nice Robert the Bruce speech. They may take our test, but they may never take our freedom. That's William Wallace, not Robert the Bruce. Unless did they steal the Robert the Bruce speech and give it to William Wallace? Is that it? Because I'm not a history major. I'm an English major. England DG, I checked. Residuals are not what they are paid up front. You're right. No. Residuals are like royalties. They're like, little bits and pieces you get. Yeah, no, I know what residuals are. That's why I just don't understand why they're complaining about my residuals from this show that I did back in 2015 or something are only a couple of $100. Like, okay. But anyway, residuals are not what they're paid up front. They're extra income down the road. It's not all the money they make off it. Also, residuals are paid quarterly. Right. Yeah, I knew that bit. But the people responding to those tweets or those articles are responding as though they think that's all they got paid. Like they acted in an episode on a TV show and all they got was a check for $27 or something. And I'm like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about, and this publication is doing a very terrible job of contextualizing what that person's saying. Anyway, let's see. Amy Minty, the big complaint is from a DC comic writer who got the standard, your character was used in a film/TV. Also, DC Comics pays these residuals as a nice thing to do, not in contract. Yeah, a lot of comic book artists are contracted on a, pay-to-work contract or something like that, where basically anything that you do for the company owns in perpetuity. And if you sign that contract, then that's the contract you signed. And you don't have any more right to those characters being used outside of your purview than you did when you signed that contract. Some comic book companies have different contracts for different situations, or people can negotiate otherwise. But most times, if you're working for a giant publication like DC or Marvel and you come up with a character while under their employ and under contract, you're making a character for them. And yeah, that was one of the big battles that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and Steve Ditko and all these other guys had going on for years and years and years over the rights and or residuals and or royalties to their creations. And I don't know all the details of each individual case, but it was a hard thing to overcome when they signed a contract that said, basically, anything I come up with belongs to the company. So let's see. And England again. So like that fella who posted $300 something She-Hulk residual, that's more like $1,200 a year to do nothing. Right. You were paid for your work, and the show, if popular and still streaming or whatever else was in your contract, its continued, popularity may indeed bring you more money down the line. It's not guaranteed, and that price is also not guaranteed. Now, how they determine how much you get, I don't know. If that's fair or not, depending on streaming volume, couldn't say. But of course, the streaming services don't want to release the numbers of how much they're streaming things, because that would be sort of like Nielsen ratings, and that might negatively affect their content or their advertising or their subscriptions and so on. So I won't deny it. There is a weird balancing act that has to take place there. And my only question is, are they in breach of contract? If the answer is yes, then sure, there's a problem. If they are not, then someone complaining about the $27 check they got this quarter doesn't mean a whole lot to me as an observer. But then again, I don't know. Advocast Diaboli going back in time to relitigate a contract with what is known now and was not known then is a can of worms. It is. It is. And I can see we've moved on from the NEA. So I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. I may do a stream at some point. Maybe with somebody who knows more about this than I do. I can talk to them about it. That actually might make some sense. I can do a familiar. I'm going to try to do a familiar with the matter about the whole thing. How's about that? I will work to make that happen in the near future. How's about that? Okay, I won't say any more about that. I think I have somebody in mind, but I will talk to them. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what you thought about this speech, this rally, this whatever it was, invoking the spirits of the past and long dead slave owners as inspirations for the NEA in the comments below. Leave a like on the way out if you would. Also, if you haven't already, take a look at the fundraiser at the top of the chat box for our friend of friend, Twisted Skipster, who needs a little help with bills and life calamity. A couple of bucks there would certainly help. If you can't donate, please think about sharing that out on social media. Everyone, thank you for joining me. Appreciate it very much. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the fundraiser, thank you guys so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. Hope you all have a good rest of your Sunday, rest of your weekend ahead of you. I hope you have a good week in the near future. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.